Oh, this game is boring. Please make me want to watch.
Shut up! Just shut up! If you don't want to watch, then don't watch. But don't watch the game and sit there and go, oh, I hate it. That's the worst. And you people that did that, you're the worst.
I never knew, Peter, that Don LaGreca was now hosting Golic and Wingle.
I got to hear the whole thing because that's just a piece of it.
That's just a piece. And it was a very angry Trey Wingo, who's a man that always has his emotions under control. Some might say, strangely so, but not today. And he joins us now to explain what set him off. Trey, everything okay?
Now, what the hell do you want, Michael?
Wow.
What is going on with you, man?
Well, when was the last time Don LaGreca had a rant?
86 days.
No, it says 87,
right,
but
well,
we're over 90 by now.
All right, so just put me as filling in for Don LaGreca one day.
But something set you off, Trey. Something, I mean, such a calm, gentle man you are.
Probably the alarm clock after a long flight back from Atlanta. No, look, here's my thing. And whether you like the game or not is fine, but there's nothing worse than people that are watching and then telling me how much they hate watching it, yet they won't stop watching it.
But listen, I loved what you said, but you don't really have a choice. You have to continue to watch. It's a national holiday.
No, you don't.
Of course you do.
Country. You got a million channels. You can watch whatever the hell you want to watch.
So what are you going to watch, The Handmaid's Tale or whatever? I mean, well, what are you going to do?
Why not? You can
love that show.
The 12th straight game if you want.
You don't have an option, Trey.
Trey, this
You
is why
you don't have an option. Not Super Bowl Sunday.
Do you remember the show Hill Street Blues?
Yes.
Okay, you remember who created that show? Stephen Bochco was.
Sure.
Right? And that show was very controversial because they pushed the envelope with language and all this kind of stuff. And Bochco said, if you don't like it, then change the bleepity bleep channel.
Not the same thing.
It's not. You can't.
See, here's the same thing. All right, here's the exact same thing. And Michael can appreciate this. We both were fans of How I Met Your Mother. We watched it from the very beginning.
Love that show.
Okay? I loved it for a while. But then over the last couple of seasons, it really got lame, and I really hated watching it. It bored me to tears. But you know why I watched? Because I wanted to find out who the mother was. So I had to stick with it. So in a Super Bowl, I'm a football fan. I'm being bored to tears, but I have to watch because I want to see how it ends. And maybe if it ended like Tennessee-St. Louis, which was another boring Super Bowl, but it comes down to a 1 yard to possibly win the game, then it would have been worth it. But when that doesn't happen, I think it's okay to just say, you know what, that was boring, and I don't think changing it is an option.
Look, you can have your opinion. That's fine. My point is, don't sit there and hate watch it because then you're just wasting your own damn time.
But there was no option. To Don's point, there's no option. I hated the game.
Okay, right. But for you guys, there's no option because that's your job.
No, not even that though, because you're already at a place where you've convened with friends. You've spent the money on the wings and pizza. You're all there for it. To then be like,
then suck it up and get through it.
So then, let's go. Let me throw on WrestleMania 3 instead. Granted, I would have been much more entertained, but it doesn't make sense. I watched not Don. It wasn't just yesterday. We watched the whole season. You watched the whole season. You got to see how the whole thing plays out. I don't see why I'm not allowed to complain that game stunk. It stunk, Trey. It wasn't some great defensive battle. It wasn't the Ravens in 2000 or the Bears in 85. Great scheming by two.
Hold on. The Ravens in 2000, you mean the Ravens that beat the Giants 34-7 in that Super Bowl? Now, that Super Bowl stunk.
And by the way, I made a joke yesterday. I missed that Super Bowl. At least I would have taken 34-7.
But a Ravens fan could watch like 7 or 8 glorious highlights. They're going to be a part of their history. I'm not even sure a Patriot fan is going to remember anything that happened in the Super Bowl.
Well, see, then we become blinded to what we're seeing, and we're not understanding what we're watching. And
don't talk to me like that, Trey. I understand what I'm watching.
Talking right down to you.
I'm not trying to. But don't play the ignorant card with me. I follow football. I covered it for 16 years with the Jets, but that doesn't mean I was entertained by it.
But those are two different things. Those are two different things. You just said you understood what you were watching, but you weren't entertained by it. Those are two separate things. I can understand how you weren't entertained, but understand what's going on there. When was the last time you saw a Tom Brady-led team or a Bill Belichick coach team burn 2 timeouts with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter?
That was weird, not entertaining.
That was weird. Now, why do you think that happened?
Because
they were confused. It was great defensive scheme.
Hell by what Wade Phillips was doing. There was great coaching and great game planning going on in that game. And if that's not your thing, I get it. But that's what was going on, and that's what people need to understand. It was brilliant.
Yeah, but
arguably the two best coaching staffs in football each had 2 weeks to prepare, and they came up with masterful plans that absolutely undermined what the other team was trying to do. I appreciate that part of it. I appreciate the Wizards' chess part of it, the Bobby Fischer element of going up against all these people and matching them move for move. That part I really appreciate.
No, I understand that, but also, it does kind of come across as like, well, you just don't understand the game. That's why you weren't entertained by it. I mean, there's a lot of people that follow the sport.
People that were, I know, but I'm saying a lot of people didn't understand that. A lot of people. I really believe that.
But I grew up on defense. One of the greatest games I ever saw was that Monday Night Football game in '90 between the Giants and the 49ers. The game ended 7-3. Tremendous game. I'm seeing hits. I'm seeing quarterbacks under pressure.
They were both undefeated in that game going in.
They were both 10-1.
10-1.
Yeah, but you didn't see you're not allowed to have massive hits. The quarterbacks weren't under tremendous duress. Wasn't like one team had like 9 sacks or anything. What you see in this day and age, because you're not allowed to hit, and the overprotectance of the quarterback is what great defense ends up being aesthetically is a bunch of incomplete passes. And so you can understand even football fans saying, you know what, that's a chess game, and that doesn't entertain me.
I don't agree with, Trey busting a gut, but I was not bored by that game. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing, but it was fascinating. I mean, Wade Phillips and Bill Belichick put on a clinic on how to play defense against great offensive teams.
Absolutely. I mean, look, to me, this was you know what I'll remember that game for more than anything else? I swear to God, this is true. That is Bill Belichick's masterpiece. That game was Bill Belichick understanding how to play and coach this game better maybe than anyone I've ever seen do it. Because there was at no point in this season did we say, hey, I really think the Patriots are the best team in football. And then they ended up being, once again, the best team in football with a team that never really figured out their rhythm or their pattern in the entire season, and up against the two teams they beat down the stretch, the number 1 and number 2 scoring offenses. They found a way to get it done defensively and find a way to win and scrap it out. I think this was Bill Belichick's best coaching season of his career.
I thought it was amazing, and if you watched ESPN afterward, Steve Young said, listen, all due respect to Julian Edelman, this one, Belichick was there. He said, you're the MVP of this game. What you did today was a masterpiece. You're the MVP. And I agree with him.
And that part, I mean, Michael, you're a huge baseball guy, right? There are baseball games that other people will think were boring,
right,
but you'll appreciate the things that you see, and the double switches and all this kind of stuff, and the moves that the manager makes at the right time in the right place. I'm fine. And by the way, if the game was so boring, it was only a 5% loss from last year's Super Bowl, right? Last year's Super Bowl was the 9th-rated thing in the history of the televised Magic Box. So it was only 5% down from one of the top 10 greatest programs.
Yeah, but there might have been Super Bowls that people were bored with before, but Twitter now gives everybody a megaphone.
Correct. And, by the way, let me ask you a question. How did that game stack up in your minds watching it to the Giants beating the Patriots in Super Bowl 42?
It didn't.
It had a higher rating.
That may be so, Trey, and you may have really enjoyed the coaching aspect, and it was impressive, no doubt about it. However, watching what Belichick did was great. However, to me, am I going to be so excited that down the road I got to see the great job that Wade Phillips did on the Patriots offense? No. I would have at least enjoyed it if it was just 27-3. You can't deny that when it's just punt after punt, both teams, no one takes advantage, and not because you're seeing, don't get me wrong, there was great coverage. Marcus Peters had great plays. There was good stuff that you saw, but it's cool that you appreciated it, but it's kind of being like the cool football guy in the room.
He is.
I love the game of football. I watch it every single week for way too long. I was bored to tears.
What do you want me to say? I mean, what do you want me to say to that? I mean, that's sort of what I do. That's what I did for 15 years of the living. I mean, that's what I did.
But I would say it's more a you thing than an everyone else thing.
When I heard your rant this morning, I thought of myself every time I watch like an amazing Stanley Cup final and I see the ratings are garbage and everybody telling me, boy, that was boring. And I go, no, you don't get it. You're not seeing it the way that I see it.
Right.
And then I realized I learned, but you know what? That's my bad. That's my problem. Not everybody else's problem. That's my problem because the rest, it's wham, bam, thank you, man, for a lot of the rest of the world. That they're not going to sit there. That's why chess isn't immensely popular because people don't want to sit there and watch two brilliant people
I'm not saying
outwit
I'm not
everybody
saying they
else.
knocked off each other's pawns. I'm using chess as an analogy of trying to outthink the other person.
Right.
And I'm not actually saying that game was, a chess game was being exciting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm using it as an analogy.
No, I get it. But what I'm saying is that there can be somebody that loves chess that just doesn't understand why people do not love this game because they just don't. They're looking for something else to entertain them.
I'm fine with that portion of it. My problem was, don't sit there and tell me how much you hate it as you watch the whole damn thing. Change the channel. Go do something.
That takes ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's too strong.
It's absurd.
You know what? It can be ridiculous for you. It's not for me.
Wow.
Yeah, but you're wrong in this case.
No, not really. I'm
You
feeling
can't,
pretty good
Trey,
about it, actually.
no human being who invited people to their house to watch the Super Bowl is turning on Netflix at halftime. You can't. I'm stuck with the stupid game. I've been stuck with the Redskins. They're a disgrace. I'm still stuck with them. You think I'm leaving the game at halftime?
So that's a choice you're making.
Yes, it's a choice I'm making, but we are crack fiends when it comes to this game. I'm hooked. The needle's in the arm. I can't pull it out at halftime.
It was a 3-0 game. It was a one-possession game until the very end. Look, I get what you're saying. My specific issue, and I swear to you, is only people that are, oh, this game is terrible, but I'm still watching. Well, then change the freaking
I don't think what Peter's saying. I don't think that's realistic on this day. You know, you got to write it out. I mean, just it's the way that it is. Because if there ends up being here's why you have to. Because if they kick the field goal and they get the onside kick with 5 seconds to go and there's a Hail Mary touchdown, you would have missed one of the greatest moments in the history of the sport. So you got to write it out just to see. But after that doesn't happen, Trey, you can analyze it and say, I was bored.
This is good. So let me get this straight. Your whole argument now is that it could have been the greatest comeback in the history of the world, right? That's what you just said. If these things have
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that.
So,
but a great ending.
It could be, yeah.
A great. So in other words, my whole point is then it couldn't have been that terrible if that scenario still played itself out with 5 seconds to play.